Hey guys, my name is Etronog91 and welcome back to another episode of the Dyson Sphere program, episode 8. So today we got some major stuff that I want to get done, and I want to talk about real quick what I did in between episodes. So first of all, we have a new oil refinery area up here. This is running 16 refineries in each little block here. And they've got the oil coming in from this transport center here. This is, of course, loading out both refined oil and hydrogen. I did a few altercations to what was going on up here. I did a hydrogen bypass. The hydrogen can come in here. These are, of course, producing energetic graphite and hydrogen still. Changed up how the oil was ran over here. So some small modifications to how that was ran. Nothing too major, just basically swap the direction so that this tank is powering this hydrogen, this block here, and it's also powering the entirety of this. Well, actually it's not. So essentially the way this tank now works is it powers this block and then these two. These two and the rest of these are all powered off these tanks, which come out of this depot here. These are refining for X-ray cracking, which give us energetic graphite. That's what we already had done that. Over here, I expanded our organic crystal production so that we can produce more yellow crystals on a larger scale. So basically I added two more onto here, and I added another 5 up here. So essentially, it is 6 top and 6 bottom, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Okay, sorry, I added 6 up here. And then I added 2 more onto the 4 that we had here. I'm using the same water supply. The refined oil basically comes down here, runs up, and then gets conveyed off that way as well. The water runs all the way around on one conveyor, and then the energetic graphite, of course, is ran in a dual conveyor here. Works really well. It's producing quite a few organic crystals, plus we have these 2 here, so we essentially have 14 organic crystal production, which is 140 organic crystals per minute. And then so that's running more of these over here because we can basically constantly keeping the majority of this titanium crystal block running, which is allowing us to produce quite a few more yellow crystals. Obviously, we're not up to capacity on how many yellow crystals, structure matrices, yellow matrices that we can produce, but we are building up a stockpile of them because I haven't queued up any extra research. So that's kind of the major things I did off camera. I set up that. Oh, and then this is where we're working today, but I set up a little bit more oil grabbing. So there's 4. Is there 4 or 5? 5 nodes up here that are getting oil pulled from them, and they're all just on one giant conveyor line. And by the time they reach the end, they're basically in a constant stream. And they go into here, and then, of course, get transported wherever they need to. So today, one of the major things I want to get into, get online, and we're just going to place this to use this as an example, is hydrogen fuel rods. Now, I was talking about last episode getting into deuterium fuel rods, which, of course, are going to be a whole nother pain in the butt. And we can actually work, well, what I'll do is I'm going to set up hydrogen fuel rod production so that we can start consuming some of our hydrogen. I'm also going to work on, I also want to work on setting up a little bit more deuterium fuel rod stuff so that we can start getting, we can start getting that online. Hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll have a little bit online. But hopefully by the end of next episode, we can have a bunch online. And that's kind of the goal. So, of course, the first thing here is we need to build... I'm going to end up needing to build more logistic stations. But for now, we're going to place our one mighty logistic station right there. This is going to be demanding hydrogen and titanium. Of course... for production wise, I didn't actually calculate this, so let me just calculate this real quick. Hydrogen fuel rod can be produced. We produce, I'm not sure. Okay, so it takes 3 seconds, so it takes 1.5 seconds by this. But we're going to calculate for the regular. So if it takes 3 seconds, then we're consuming... We're making 20 hydrogen fuel rods per minute. And if we're making 20, then how much hydrogen do we need per minute? That's going to be quite a bit of hydrogen, right? Because that's going to be 5 times 2 is 100. So 100 hydrogen per minute. Or 10 and then 100. So 100 hydrogen per minute per machine. So we don't actually need all that much to consume a ton of hydrogen. And just to be on the safe side, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set these up in... And I'm only going to set up 4 for now. We'll set up 6. We'll go for 6. It's a little bit more than I was going to set up. But hydrogen fuel rods are currently our main usage of power for our mecha. And then eventually, the plan is obviously to get the next tier, deuterium fuel rods up. But once we do that, we can leave the hydrogen production here and just use the... we can actually use it as basically just a thermal power plant production. So coming out of here, that'll be our input. And then we're going to have an output here. And of course, we're going to need some storage along here. So I think I just want to kind of pipe in independent storage for each of these. So I think what I'll do is I'll do something like this. Then, I don't know, okay, so then we can come along here, we can come over, then we come back over. And that'll be piped into that. For this one, oh, wait. That'll actually be the one piped out, then that can come over to there, come up to there. Kind of a little bit of a spacing between there, and then that can come out there. The fuel rods that we produce will come out, going around like this. Will go into its own storage block. Then go around and go down into there. Not the cleanest that we've ever done something, but it'll work. And then obviously we do our same. We do our patented 1 in, 2 out, 1 in, 2 out, and then of course 1 in, 2 out. Oh, and did I mess that up? Yes, I did. Our 1 in, and then our 2 out. Then, of course, we'll flip around here real quick, and I think we'll do our long ones there, then we'll do our short one. Oopsie. So that shouldn't be too hard. There we go. There we go. And that all comes together pretty well. Oh, I'm going to need more of these, aren't I? That work? Yeah, it does. Okay, so this will be producing hydrogen fuel rod, hydrogen fuel rod. So these are all going to be producing hydrogen fuel rod. Hopefully, we actually have enough production. Up. Turn around here. That should be outputting. Doesn't matter. That'll be hydrogen. That'll be titanium. We're basically out of, so we'll just throw drones in there. And we'll be supplying hydrogen fuel rods, and this will be a demand this will be it around. So as you can see, we can launch quite a few drones out of here. That'll come together. We'll start producing some hydrogen fuel rods. We'll have a storage for hydrogen fuel rods. And of course, we'll have storage. Now for now, I'm just gonna leave that disconnected. With the entire purpose, basically the reason I'm leaving that disconnected is there's not a point right now to connect it. Basically, the only reason to actually connect it would be we need hydrogen fuel rods somewhere right now. And honestly, what I might do, I have 10 fuel plants on me. And if I set those up in a block of 5, could I do it? I don't think I can get 5 on here. No, but I could do 4 and 2. Then what we'll actually do is we'll change the way this is currently ran to come out of there, pass by there, go down. And we'll run it over there. And we'll quickly just go ahead and X that out. Now we have some hydrogen fuel rods on us. Whoopty. Actually, we can just toss this in there because I'm sure we could use them, and of course we can. So let's go ahead and basically we do our 1 in, 2 out routine. Of course, game being the way it has to be, it's going to want me to use a quick conveyor to go like that. Then we'll break that. So yeah, that's I talked about that last episode being a trick that you can use to get your conveyors to work a little bit better on your terms. But as you can see, hydrogen fuel rods work as a fuel source, and they actually take quite a bit longer to burn through 10 of them. And, you know, obviously we're producing them at a pretty decent rate, so it's not like we're going to run out. We got plenty of hydrogen. Hydrogen's basically infinite. We have plenty of titanium coming in from off-world. I may actually expand this by 2 more, because we need, essentially right now our power system's holding together, but we have the problem with hydrogen currently. We can't seem to use enough of it, which seems like a stupid thing, but right now we have so much hydrogen stored different places that some of our power plants are actually shutting down, not because we lack the resources or lack the production to make the resource, but because we simply lack the resources to maintain production, which is a pretty big deal. Is that somehow getting? It actually seems like we're. I'm gonna break that momentarily till right about there. I'm gonna try. This was hydrogen before. But I mean, as you can see, that actually works out really well. Keeps our hydrogen full. There we go. Now we're producing, you know, basically, we produce 20 fuel rods per minute per 2 times 8's 116, so 160 fuel rods per minute, which is actually, you know, it's a good number of fuel rods to be producing. It's not ooh, look, it's the end of the world amount, but it's enough, and it's actually more than enough, really, because, well, I mean, we provide just barely any power with it, but again, that leaves us a storage of fuel rods that we can just hold on to. And we can always up the size of the power plant over here if we need to. So the next major thing I want to get into this episode is working on producing the necessary items for deuterium fuel rods. So I'm going to grab some. I'm going to need a little bit more steel, I think. We'll grab a little bit more of this. Grab a few more panes of glass. Can I produce chemical plants? I can produce 40. There's 10. Let's produce 20. Half of what we could actually produce. And in order to produce, and we can use the F menu here. In order to produce sulfuric acid, we need stone, refined oil, and water. Now, water's easy to get because water can be piped in from anywhere. Refined oil is a little bit harder to get, but again, not too terribly hard, considering we have hookups everywhere for refined oil. Part of the problem is getting that refined oil to stone to produce the sulfuric acid. Now, I said water's easy, so I'm gonna go over here. Actually, this looks cool with all the drones running around. Just absolutely stunning. Let me just quickly, I'm gonna throw some background music in here. Or, you know, a little bit better. Okay, that can actually could supply us with sulfuric acid, and the only thing we'd actually have to demand is refined oil, and I think that would work. So let's go ahead and let's go see if we can figure out a plant over there to produce our sulfuric acid, as long as we have stone over there. If we don't have stone, then that puts us in a buckle. And I didn't actually check to see if we had stone, did I? We don't have any nearby stone. Do we have any nearby stone on this side? Nope. The closest stone is there, and I don't feel like transporting that far. So there's stone there. That already, yeah, okay, that's hydrogen. All we need is the refined oil, and we need we can do sulfuric acid. The stone is right there. We'll end up using that node, but I think what I'm gonna do, if it actually lets me select the right thing here. Okay, so for the chemical plants, I need to produce a ton of sulfuric acid, which isn't too hard of an item to produce, really, and we can find dozens of other uses for it. So part of this is, if I can put them close enough together, I can compact this plant quite well. Now this, unfortunately, requires 3 resources to produce sulfuric acid, which isn't that hard, because we can provide 3 resource lines directly off of here. One thing we will need to make is a few pumps, which is going to require a few gravity drives real quick. We have miners on us, which is important. We have... It's always... Okay, so something I'd recommend, just because you start to run out of the need for one specific thing, don't necessarily get rid of all of your backup storage for that one thing. Otherwise, you could end up in a little bit of a pickle. This requires foundation support. Thank you. Can I actually... What I'm going to do is grab foundation. And I'm going to foundation right along there, so that the relative area of gathering water can all be pumps in the same spot, because the pumps are essentially provided on by foundation. We're going to place all 6 of my water pumps there, because we'll end up probably expanding this facility enough to man and have the need for okay, that should be plenty. So water's the easiest thing to provide out of all of this, because obviously we can bring water in from here. Okay, so once we've got the water provided, we just come up to the start and pipe her in like that. The water will be back because, well, there will be plenty of it. We won't need all that much stone, but to be on the safe side, I want to provide enough stone that I don't have to worry about it. So 3 of those will produce more than enough stone for future expansion, plus actually provide me with one really nice means of the fact that I can pipe all of these into the same conveyor belt and not to worry about it. Then refined oil is going to come out of there and pipe in first, because I'm a fan of this look. We're gonna there we go. That doesn't look bad, and we still have that little mini lake there, which is nice. So, of course, now we have to provide means of power, and don't mind the fact that I'm a little bit bad at the whole keeping track of resources that I forget to grab sometimes. So, we're still producing power poles, because that's what you should do with all your extra resources. No, it's really not, but it works pretty well. So we're only producing sulfuric acid over here. And so I don't know how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we'll call 10 good enough for now. So the way we'll finish this off is this will come out to here, wrap around, and go exactly back the same way they were ran. So then we run this over here and run that in. Okay, so sorry I've been talking there for a second. You're gonna want to make sure, and I don't think we'll need it on this particular setup, but sometimes you might need more water income. So, or whatever your third line, your furthest line away from whatever you're trying to pipe, whether it's chemical plants, refineries, whatever. If you're trying to pipe multiple lines directly off each other, like I'm doing here, make sure you leave this third one with an extra access point if it can have it, because that way, if you're not getting enough of, say, in this case, it's water per transfer, you can always add another one on. Now, if you've got conveyor upgrades like we do in this series, it doesn't matter as much to us. I'm gonna put one there for purpose of providing power. So we're demanding refined oil, and we already have all our drones out, but so there's that setup. And I mean, honestly, this should start getting some oil here. And that will be outputting oil. Then we'll start producing sulfuric acid. Now, all of the sulfuric acid that we just set up production on has its specific goal. Without sulfuric acid, we can't... I don't care about P. We can't produce... is it in here for looking at? No, it's not. So... we'll fly over to the little ghetto man setup over here, which we didn't talk about on screen, but you have to produce titanium alloy, which is a little bit of an annoying item to produce because it does take some resources. Now the next thing I need one of these, so we're gonna grab a little bit of titanium, and we're gonna go grab some... we have copper on us. We need some graphite. And then we need some of these. That'll allow us to produce one of those, and we'll probably need more of these. I like to keep one extra on hand at any given time, so we'll just produce two, and it'll take a second for us to produce those, but that's fine. What is our next step for producing deuterium fuel rods, and why do we need... well, we need titanium alloy to produce deuterium fuel rods. We also need the specialty magnets. Those will be step 3 for the production. But step 2 is worrying more about having titanium alloy production. Titanium alloy production is going to be needed for a lot of things, so I don't want to cheap out on titanium alloy production. And we're going to have another need for it, so we need to set up some decent titanium alloy production, which actually includes us finding a nearby copper node, which will be there, and that's already filled. Do we have a copper or iron node close to any of our logistic stations? We have a copper node. Not really any nodes out in this area here. So it looks like we may have to set up a new iron mining node. I think for now, I think my sheep man solution to that is going to be really, really simple. We're going to come over here. And I want to have a ton of production, so one thing I'm going to need is a similar setup to what we've talked about before, which is we want to be able to target basically 6 nodes at any given time. For the purposes of production, that target's only 5. That'll target 6. That targets 6 there. That'll target 6 there. And that targets more than 6 there. This is pretty simple. Again, we're going to do our cheap man solution to problems. Okay, let's just quickly. Okay, so we're gonna need to go quickly grab some more conveyors. I'm gonna pause while I hook up this iron node. I'm just gonna run it over to this station here. So there's absolutely no need for you guys to watch. And I'll bring you back as soon as we're into transporting the other resources we need. Okay, guys, sorry about that. So we set up some steel production right over here. We did the mines, goes into 9 or 18 steel producers, which I'll run over to this, which then transports them over to here once we set up demand. So, to produce deuterium fueled rods isn't all that hard. Does require a little bit of complication, of course, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oopsie, 8. Okay, there we go. So, this thing will have to demand the sulfuric acid we need. It has to demand the titanium we need, and it's going to have to demand the steel we need, which unfortunately means that the titanium will not be exported out of that, which is kind of unfortunate. So if we come out here, that can be sulfuric acid coming out, that can be titanium coming out, that can be steel coming out. So to set this up, we have to run each one sideways, up, so this should be there, then it'll run all the way to the end over there. So that isn't deuterium, or isn't deuterium fueled rods. And I'm sorry I kept confusing everybody. If I confused you, sorry. We're setting up titanium production. I don't know how many times I said deuterium, but I definitely said it at least once. So once all that's in, we're gonna fly over here. Oh, no, right there. We're kind of spacing production out now. If you notice, we're doing like small blocks of production, with good reason. One, I need some drones to land back here. Okay, there we go. We just grabbed 5. Now, I like to try and stay around the equator on planets in this game because it makes transporting of resources a lot easier. Also, we need to set this, this, and this to demand. Then our next step is to pull power. Oh, it could only take an idiot to mess that one up. Titanium is produced in a smelter. With a titanium alloy. That does mean a slight advantage for us is we can set up more. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, we really can't set up that much more. It just shortened it by 1, apparently. I must have messed up somewhere on that conveyor. But, coming out. So there's that. Now, the next thing I want to set up here is going to be storage for each of these. And I don't need a ton of storage. My main concern is being able to have a little bit of backup storage. And the nice thing about that is we can get plenty of backup storage with a few of those stacked on top of each other. Okay, so that all comes out, and then of course I talked about always wanting to make sure that you have extra of logistic stations on hand, and this is why I tend to forget I need one for something. So titanium alloy, and I'm gonna set up a storage, which actually is kind of very conveniently located. I can locate it there. We can go one in for every two out. And that'll start holding some titanium ingots for us, which is absolutely vital to next episode's plans for deuterium production, reinforced thrusters, and logistic vessels, not to mention the production of any interstellar logistic station. We also need to potentially offhand, one other thing we need to produce is the particle container, which isn't too hard to produce, and we could produce well, we could find a place to produce it. I think I'll set that up next episode. Right now I'm gonna call it for tonight because we've gotten a lot done. We got titanium alloy production online, we got a steel production online, we have we did, I mean, we didn't do a ton, but we ran the episode for quite a bit here. We also got on a ton of hydrogen production in terms of power, which is actually great because if we find that we need more power down the road, gosh, I'm faster than drones, we can always add to these. But in the meantime, we have huge amounts of backup hydrogen and huge amounts of titanium on the planet. Not to mention, we're using quite a bit of hydrogen to produce these mighty fuel rods. I may off screen up this power plant size. I'm gonna probably leave it 3 rows, but I might add another 10, maybe even 20 power plants onto this, for the purpose that it's a lot of power, and we need the extra power because without it, we're gonna soon run out. And our network's getting pushed 220 out of 253. We need to set up a little bit of power production, and maybe, depending on what we decide for next episode, I may start looking into completing the solar array off screen, because that's not anything too special. I may also look into some satellite substations for wide power distribution facility, provide large power transmission distance and large power supply area. Might look into building those and see about what we can do about that next episode. But I think the biggest thing that I might look into is some of these EM rail ejectors, which launch Dyson solar sails, which produce quite a bit of power. And then I might look into building a few ray receivers on each pole so that we can pull in a ton of power from our solar sails and just, in general, get a lot of power up. But the part of the problem is, in order to do that, we have to produce solar sails, which requires photon combiner, which isn't too hard. Actually, that's really easy to make. So I may consider doing solar sails next episode and setting that up to start launching solar sails so that we can produce Dyson swarms. Now, if depending on what I decide to do for next episode, we'll have the resources ready to go. We'll hammer one out and we'll start a second project. And I think no matter what, next episode, the secondary project has got to be to set up the logistics vessels, or not logistic vessels, has got to be to start setting up some, I'm losing it. Next episode, the secondary objective, if it's not the primary, has got to be to set up solar sails. So if we don't do that immediately, that'll be something we start on and don't necessarily get finished with next episode. If it's the primary, then the definite secondary will be probably working on getting into deuterium fuel rods, which won't be too terribly hard because they require these magnets, which we already have the stuff to start producing those, and we already produced deuterium because we did that last episode down over here. So now that I've probably talked for 20 minutes of the video and I actually only played for 10, I'm gonna let you guys go because I don't want to bore anybody. I don't want to have anybody, you know, start losing interest. So I'll let you go. Have a great one. Don't do anything stupid. You know, kind of just be a smart person. Be a good person. Help somebody out. You know, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below, subscribe, drop me a comment if there's anything that I could do to increase efficiency, something you see to consume extra hydrogen, or help out the whole system. If there's a way you think I can improve the video, let me know. I'm always open to some creative criticism. But without further ado, have a great one.